Hello, and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be my review of Deb Never's debut album, Where Have All the Flowers Gone? This has been one of my favorite albums to actually release within the past couple years. It could probably even take the title of one of my favorite albums of all time. Um, yeah, I am absolutely in love with this album from front to back. I cannot find any flaws in it. Personally, I'm sure maybe some other people would disagree, but to me, it is a perfect album. From start to finish, it is on high and it just does not slow down at all. To me, I feel like there's actually a really nice narrative that goes throughout this. It's not like at the forefront, so it's not shoved in your face, and it's not like you really need to be paying attention the entire time or else you'll miss something. Like, you can definitely still listen to all of these songs casually, but when you listen to it front to back, you do get a very nice narrative. And basically, the narrative is uh, the stages of going through a very intense uh, heartbreak, where clearly Deb Never was not expecting the relationship to end or didn't want it to end, and it is her going through, I mean, basically the stages of grief, and it is, I think, accurately portrayed in the lyrics. It doesn't have to be like, um, overtly lyrical to get the point across and to really, point out what she's going through. Uh, my favorite songs from this, I would say Disassociate. Recently, that has become one of my favorites from this. It's one that I just continuously keep going back to. My favorite one is Someone Else. I fell in love with that song straight from when it released as a single before. That one I really liked. Those two I would say are the top two. It's kind of hard to not just say all of them, especially when it is a very short 8-song album. I mean, the album only clocks in at about 25 minutes. So it's, yeah, like I said, it's hard to not just say all of them since it is so short, because I do love every track. But I would say those two, as of right now, I love those two tracks more than the rest. Those are just my personal favorites that I listen to the most. But yeah, as I said, I really like the narrative that goes throughout. I feel like basically the way it goes is like with the first 3 tracks with Stupid, Sorry, and Someone Else. It is like the actual heartbreak, and it is her basically feeling the emotions of basically like don't leave. Basically like that immediate reflection, and you can tell like the emotions are everywhere. And like in the song Stupid, she says like, oh, I'm so stupid, like being with you, you were a bad person for me. And then you see in Sorry, she's like, basically, I'm not sorry for the shit I did, and I'm not sorry for the way I make you feel. I'm living my life. But then you go on to Someone Else, and it's her saying, like, I don't want you to move on. I want you to be with me, not anyone else. So it's kind of like that back and forth that I think a lot of people have when you get out of a break, out of a relationship. It's like that back and forth, where you're trying to convince yourself, like, yeah, I'm good, and then no, I'm not. And so I really like the way that the emotion goes back and forth within those tracks. Then you have Disassociate, which is obviously about dissociation. It is Deb kind of basically getting out of her body, and it's her finding like less joy with things and having like these out of body experiences, as it's called, disassociation. And this is just really good one. I really like her vocal performance on this one. I think it's absolutely stellar. Then you have Sweet and Spice, which has the only technical feature on this, which is just it is produced by Jimmy Stack. Um, I think he does a really good job. I think he really catered to Deb's sound, which, not that he is overtly different. He also produces basically a lot of like alternative or indie pop or bedroom pop. So I think that those two worked really well together. I like that. But yeah, that one I feel like is kind of like her reflecting on the relationship from a more stable standpoint, um, and kind of just like reviewing in her head like all the stuff that went on and like where to go from there. Funky in the midst of the story is her basically not finding joy in anything anymore. I mean, she has the lyrics, lost in a crowded room, stuck in a groundhog every day. You know, sometimes after you get out of a really intense breakup or very intimate relationship, every day just kind of feels dull and it feels the same and it feels like it's never ending and you don't know when you're going to get out of this cycle. And that's what she's going through. She also says in it, I've been stuck riding this roller coaster, no cheaper thrill, moments passing by. Whereas, like, things that used to be exciting are just nothing anymore. It's not giving any joy, and she is basically stuck in this state of basically just depression and not really getting much out of it. And, you know, like I said, it's all very relatable, which is probably why I like this album so much. I think she really does an accurate portrayal of the depression following a breakup and does really good on it. Then you have the song Coca-Cola, which is basically, of course, this is where, you know, if you're really paying attention to the lyrics, like, and trying to relate to every song, this is where it could lose some people, but drinking or abusing drugs to kind of get rid of the pain and to help yourself in the situation, you know, try and get over the person, turn to substance abuse. And then finally, the last track, Red Eye, is basically her finally taking time for herself, and as she says, taking a trip to Italy, her getting away from where she is, taking a vacation to help herself heal fully and really get into her correct state of mind. And it is a nice way to actually end off the track, even though I feel like sonically it's actually very different, which maybe that was, you know, on purpose. It's a little bit more, I guess you could say it's not as pop-y in a sense, whereas the other ones are. This one is a lot darker than the other ones, but I still think it fits excellently, and I love the narrative, how it adds on. And I think that's where the album title fits into all of it. Where have all the flowers gone? It's her basically, you know, having like this beautiful thing in her life, which is the relationship, and it going away and being like, where has all of it gone to? Because it's not around anymore. And so I like the way that is portrayed throughout, and it's referenced throughout the track list several times. But on the production side, I really like the first track for Stupid. I really like the production on that. I like how slow it starts out, and I love the build-up that it goes right to the drop at the end. I think it's got an extremely good payoff for the long wait that you have throughout the 3-minute track or whatever it is. I really like that. I think that's absolutely fantastic. I like the way that it builds up initially, this like intense start to the album. Then the production on Sorry is pretty similar. It's still very somber, of course, and it is guitar driven, but it is definitely, like, you could say a sad boy banger of sorts. She made it kind of to be more of an anthem, I guess you could say. It's got a very chant-y chorus, which it sounds definitely like it was made to be performed live and to have a crowd sing along to it with her. I really like that, though. I think the production's really good on that. I think she delivered a fantastic hook on there. It's super catchy, super infectious, so I love that. I will backtrack really quick and say her vocal performance on Stupid is probably the best it is on this entire album. I love when you get to the drop, the climax of the song. I love her, like, this real vocal performance we haven't heard from her really getting loud, and really I feel like it was a song that she really felt. It feels like it was true raw emotions being put forward, and I really like that. I think she did an absolute fantastic job on that. Yeah, I just want to say that really quick because I kind of forgot to talk about it when I was talking about the production. Someone else also, I think, has an amazing production style to it. It starts off with this sort of almost mistuned guitar going throughout it very very quietly. but it really, I think, adds to the atmosphere of the song. It's definitely the most bedroom pop-esque of the entire album, whereas the rest is more alternative and indie. This one definitely feels most like bedroom pop, and I absolutely love it. I love that, like, later on, as it slowly builds up, you have like the real electric guitar coming in, not playing like aggressively, but like a soft electric guitar. And I love the actual drop when she builds up her voice with it, and the beat comes in, and it is absolutely like manic, and it feels very fast paced, and I feel like almost like like a panic attack she's having. It's like an overwhelming beat, like the first time you hear it coming in and kind of taking over, and I absolutely love it. It's reminds me a lot of the instrumental of Tape by Brockhampton from their 2018 album Iridescence, where it's very fast-paced drums, and the actual melodic backing of the track is not necessarily the forefront. Like, it's there, but really you're getting the drums at the forefront, and that's what you're paying attention to, and that's what's kind of swarming you from all angles. I really love that, the dynamicness. It's really, the production on this one, I think, stands out a lot from the rest of the album. For Disassociate, I'm not sure how to explain why I get this feeling, but it feels almost like they switched for the percussion to switch from live to studio, like programming drums for the recording of it. Obviously, when you have the second verse, it gets into those trap drums when it picks up a little bit after the first chorus. But when it gets to the chorus and to the bridge and end of the song, it feels very much like live drums, and I'm not sure if that's the only time throughout this entire album that they have it. I do know that Deb Never actually plays the guitar, and she played the guitar throughout this entire album, so when you hear it, it is her actually playing it, which I think is pretty damn cool. But yeah, I really love the way that the instrumental sounds when it comes to the chorus and end and bridge of the song. I think that's really good. That's one of my favorite parts about it. I also just, I'm not sure how to describe it, but just her vocal, I keep talking about her vocal performance, but I mean, comparatively to her last EP, she just really stepped up her game for this. Even when she is being really soft and kind of toning it back, I still think she's really shining with her performance there. But yeah, I really love her voice on this one, and as I said, the instrumentation on this, just the live feel of it is really nice. I really like when artists actually, on a studio album that's not a live album, they bring in the instrumentation and it sounds really raw and pure, and like all that effort was actually brought in to get people to come in and play those. I think it adds a whole nother element to it, even if it's not something you notice right away. Maybe you'll go back and be like, wow, that's really good. Like, that sounds a lot better than other stuff I've heard. Like, this really stands out, and that's what this one does to me. That, as I said, that's why it's one of my favorites. Sweet and Spice, I really think Jimmy Stack did a really good producing for Deb. I really like the very trippy sort of psychedelic-esque atmosphere that has the song surrounded in, especially during the chorus. That's when you kind of hear all these different like sound effects and like almost like warping noises. I really like that. I also do like the sort of distorted guitar that the song starts off with. Yeah, it's not like a too overtly complex song, but I do really like that. Basically, I really like the sort of psychedelic sound that he builds into it. Feels very trippy, and it's really nice. Funky, production wise, doesn't really have anything super stand out. Not that that's a bad thing. I think that's good for how dynamic the sound overall has been throughout the entire album thus far. This is kind of just a simple guitar and drum track. It's got nothing overly crazy. You don't have like the psychedelic sounds or the bedroom pop asset coming in. It's kind of just a, I wouldn't say generic indie pop or alternative pop sound, but it's nothing that is like absolutely stand out. Like, you're gonna hear this beat and it's going to like absolutely blow you away. it's good and it really fits the album, but that's kind of just how that one is. Then Coca-Cola, I like it's a lot more aggressive than the rest of the tracks. It's got a electric guitar right at the forefront, and that really takes charge of the entire track going in, especially during the chorus. The percussion is well done, but I feel like really Deb shines on that electric guitar going through the track. And as I did mention for Red Eye earlier in the video, it does have a more sort of trap inspired instrumental. It's not like I think Deb is going to sort of go in this direction from now on, but it does have that sort of aesthetic. She is almost sort of rapping on the verses in this song, but no, it fits really well. It's funny that it's like that, like it's trap and she's sort of rapping on it, but it still feels very indie and very pop-esque, and it, like I said, it still fits the entire album with the sound. Like, you don't hear it and you're like, that's kind of weird. You know, you have an album that sounds like this and then all of a sudden you switch, similar to Drake's Honestly Nevermind, where you have this whole EDM house music and then you have a rap song at the end. Like, it's not like that. This actually fits very well, and especially with her singing on the chorus, it fits the instrumentation very nice. But yeah, that's the album. I mean, I could talk about it for a real long time. This is kind of just a condensed, talk about it condensed to, 20 minutes, whatever. But yeah, that's the album. As I said, it is absolutely one of my favorites of all time. And I cannot recommend this one enough. I cannot wait for when her next full-length album actually comes out. I hope it follows this album and has more narrative to it like this one did. But yeah, either way, I'm very excited. I cannot recommend it enough. Go and check it out. I would give this one a perfect rating if that was not clear before. But yeah, thank you for watching very much. Make sure to subscribe and check out the next video. I'll see you then. Bye now.